Hi folks, you're with Tasvis today at your Pushback channel, and thank you for joining this radio live stream. In this essay, I'd like to talk about and talk widely about the issue of merit. Now, I've mentioned it in a previous video today, and a couple of things have sort of come up that have brought me back to the subject. What I think we need to understand is that because of merit, and this is part of the sort of the scientific reasoning um, methodology, if you like, or views or attitudes that came over the Western world, and uniqually the Western world, starting, say, with the Renaissance, but going, the scientific method of inquiry and reasoning and so on. And we can see this even going back to, the late 1600s with the works of, say, Descartes, methods of reasoning, and indeed going on from there, the Germans played, I think, quite a big role in this, as indeed many British philosophers. Whether you look at the sort of more scientific end of it, like the Isaac Newtons, or indeed the philosophical end, such as Hobbes and others in that type of genre. But merit was increasingly deciding what would happen in the West. That merit of investment. Where do you put your money to get the maximum return? That has an automatic merit factor. So, say for example, in the mercantile age. So this is sort of mercantile age is, I guess, the mid 1500s, circa mid 1500s through to, say, mid to late 1700s, and this is the age when the Western Europe, beginning really with Portugal, I suppose, but Western Europe developed the sort of technology in sailing ships, that is the sails, the rigging, the keels, the structure of the ships, and so on, to be able to undertake long ocean-going voyages. And this meant they could trade around the world. And they also developed a technology where they could sail diagonally. It was called tacking, sail diagonally across the wind. Now, that was a real game changer, because typically you could only sail on certain seasons when the wind was blowing in the right direction. Then you could sort of go on your journey. But this technology, in addition to being able to travel long distances over oceans, allowed the ships to sail diagonally, so they could kind of zigzag around, but still move forward, if you like, against the wind or across the wind. So these were huge game changers. They don't sound like much today, but at the time they were real game changing stuff. And it was the West that developed, Western Europe, that developed that technology, which was huge technology at the time. It was the equivalent of flying a rocket to the moon in its day. So now you've got an expedition that's going to go to wherever to discover riches, collect spices for trading, or whatever it might be. Now, what are you going to do? You're not going to go to the boat builder down the road who can't build a boat for shit. You're going to go to the person you think is the most proficient boat builder. That boat builder, having got the commission, isn't going to send some dunderhead out to find the wood and the lumber to build. He's going to send someone out who's expert at it and who can be relied on to bring back the quality lumber that's going to be used to build the ships, and so on. So all the people that are supplying services and so on to the to the building of these boats are, there's still going to be some patronage and nepotism on there. No question, but they're going to be, on balance, the best or amongst the best that are available. You can't use somebody, given the expenditure and the risk and so on, and the investment that's going. You can't use people that don't know what they're doing, or that you're pretty sure they'll fuck it up just because you want to get them to get the money. That it can't work that way. Now, then you've got to decide on the captains and the people who are going to be in charge of the expedition. They have to be competent sailors. They have to be competent navigators. They have to be able to control a crew, and so on. They have to be reliable. So again, you're going to pick the best that you can. Again, you might prefer people who you like over people you don't like, but you're going to pick honor about the best. And then those captains, ship's captains, and so on, they're going to then in turn pick the main members of the crew, the bosuns, the first officers, the various people, the carpenters, the guys who are going to sew up the sails when they tear in a high wind, and so on. So they in turn will be picking the best people that they can to go on the voyage. And so you see a situation of one act of merit or one necessity for merit, if you will, begets the next one, and so on. Now, this made the West, and particularly, by the way, Britain or England came out in front here. They were particularly able to because of somebody would put up the money, which could be the crown or some of the main aristocrats. They're putting up the cash for this voyage. They want to make windfall profits. They want to protect their investment. So they're going to pick the best people they can. They may not like these people. Maybe they're commoners. Maybe they're bums or something. It doesn't matter. But they're the best available and the most likely to make the investment pay off. And that's the material point here. And to make sure that investment pays, or on balance of probability, they pick the best people, thus the merit, and that's how that works. Now, you may think, well, of course you would. I mean, why would you do it any other way? But that's something that fails to grasp how the rest of the world was operating at that time, or most of the rest of the world, not every corner of it. But so if you went to the China or India or anywhere else, any of the places around the world, particularly non-West European places, Africa, you would find a completely different concept of selection of people to undertake various tasks. Now, you may get a situation where the best warriors may get picked for, the tribal conflicts, things like that. You may still have things like the hottest chicks get picked by the chief of the tribes. You may get that. But in terms of the concept of investment, return, reward, merit, and that sort of thing, then that was uniquely West European in many ways. It had appeared briefly in China, the Confucian exams and so on, but that all fell to pieces pretty quickly. It takes a lot of discipline to maintain a system of merit, because it's not in anyone, very few people, only the smartest, brightest, hardest working, industrious people benefit from a merit system. But what it means is it creates more wealth for everybody. And that's a very important point, very important takeaway from this. But once you move away from merit, then people with the connections, the goons, the heavies, the warlords, the thieves, the highway, all those sort of people, then they can. So more people, who as in, who are not pursuing merit, more people can give themselves a sense of surety about it, because the biggest form of uncertainty is pursuing a merit system for people who are endeavoring to get ahead when they have no natural gifts. They're lazy, they're stupid, they're incompetent, and so on. And there's very few people that go to the apex of the merit system, because it's relative, and only the best percolate to the top, and the smartest, and so on. But that means there's a lot of people left out and have to accept, well, I'm not the smartest, and people don't like that. They like to have what the other guy has, but they don't have to work hard to get it. So anyway, the British system or English system of merit took off, and then it sort of grew from there, because merit, especially on the upward curve, tends to beget merit. So the investors were thinking, well, a lot more investment, a lot more voyages are going around the world, a lot more people investing in these voyages, that if they came in, by the way, were hugely profitable, windfall profits. So more and more people were queuing up to do these. So there's a bigger and bigger demand for sailors that knew what they were doing. So that started to formalize education in seafaring and navigation and so on. And so the British seamen became the world over considered to be the best, the gold standard, and kept that for quite some time. Probably 160 years or thereabouts. So merit was what, in all things, be it science, be it seafaring, be it whatever, engineering, became the basis for selecting, so many people to engage in various undertakings, in all areas of industry and business, and so on. Now, was it perfect? No. Were the lord or the aristocrats, dumbass kids, and the sovereign's buddies still getting cozy gigs? Sure, they were. That still went on, but relative to all other civilizations, the amount of merit-based promotion and merit-based investment and merit-based everything, education and so on, it was more than anywhere else in the world. And that's what made Britain a rich and powerful and influential country. And you need to just sort of get some perspective on this. When the population of England was something like 11 million, they were, or no more than 15 million. They were, pretty much in control of much of the world, and in control of much of the Chinese coastal trading, much of India, and all over the place. And this is with a tiny population of, say, 11 million or so. That just goes to show how technically and organisationally advanced they were relative to the other areas of the world, and all over Africa and so on. So this is something that really needs to be understood. The difference that merit made to where wealth accumulated in the world, and what parts of the world, and that system of the Industrial Revolution and merit that spread, certainly all over Western Europe, and there were other areas that took it even more seriously. The United States, for example, Germany, and in other areas, France and so on, were all far ahead again of any other places around the world because of this merit system. And the bigger the role that merit played, the more advanced those economies and those nations and those communities and peoples and societies became. Now, we're unwinding all the merit today, so we're coming down the other side of the hill, if you like, where merit is frowned upon as being elitist, because as long as merit exists, then the brightest and the hardest working and the fittest and the most capable will automatically percolate most of the time to the top. But as soon as you have equity and affirmative action and gender and race quotas, then merit no longer decides those people that get to the top. And we're in such a situation now in the Western world with equity, where the most capable people are treated with hostility, and they're almost prevented from employment, or you'll find that people are, the people percolating the top are the ones that have satisfied not a single criteria of merit. A relative or the wife of a relative of mine, was in, this is in a government quango, and she's I suppose a mid-level administration person, give or take, and so her boss, she's getting a new boss, so a new manager, supervisor, and the quota system that they have has it that they must have someone who has 2 or 3 victim totem pole points there. So her boss ended up being a female lesbian quadriplegic, or paraplegic in this case. So and someone who's not qualified, she only met the victim criteria. But the quota system, the affirmative action quota system, that role, that managerial role, had to go to someone who had this many victim points. Now, the person's got no experience in this role, no relevant qualification. It's quite absurd. It's beyond absurd. But that's the new boss. But because of this paraplegic is now doesn't have anyone around her or near her who is as handicapped or has as many victim points as she does, and she needs to see people who are like me. So they then had to employ, as her boss, the paraplegic's boss, they then employ a quadriplegic gay male to be the overall boss of the entire section or division or whatever it is. So it's beyond parody, really. It's way beyond parody. But that's the sort of decisions that get made. I'm just a little sort of funny story aside here. Many years ago, I was dating this girl who was pretty ditzy, and she worked for a finance company, and they were having a big drive at the time to promote women into managerial roles. Now she was like a receptionist, okay, so so they gave her the job of like deputy assistant general manager or some fancy sounding title. Her job was to run around delivering letters. This is back in the day, delivering letters, and had she had no ability or skills and was pretty dumb and not bad looking though. And she ended up getting this promotion and started sort of saying, well, I deserve it. I'm entitled to this. I was always a genius. And, like I'm a Hollywood star and I'm just waiting for someone to discover me and that sort of thing. I've got talent. So it was sort of quite comical, really, listening to this, again, not bad looking, but listening to this rather simple, low IQ person. So because she got this promotion, that meant she was really just this undiscovered fucking genius. I mean, we didn't, we had a couple more dates or something and that was it. And, not long ago, I was leafing through the financial pages of a magazine, and lo and behold, she's now executive vice president of this big multinational bank. Oh, fuck. So I looked it up, and and there's an interview online where she's talking to some financial journalist, and she's just as stupid now as she was then, but she's the fucking executive vice president. I mean, her salary in 1 year is more than I've made in the last 20 years. So maybe I should have married. But it goes to show you that just how, or it indicates to me at least how non-merit is a factor, to the extent where this low IQ, not bad looking again, but this low IQ bimbo is now the executive vice president of one of the biggest fucking banks in the world. Definitely merit there. So anyway, the non-merit side of things is quite pronounced, and I frequently go into businesses where 10 years ago, 20 years ago, they were all straight white males, slick outfits, knew what they were doing, impressive people, and nearly all straight white males. And now they've got double the staff, but straight white males are like 20% of the staff now. Now, but to be sure, that the serious decision making has gone further and further upstairs. So whereas a senior middle manager would have had decision making authority, in the straight white male days, that they've lost that authority, which is a reflection of that they're just window dressing with minorities, rather than leaving the people there leaving that decision-making authority at that level. Decision-making authority again's moved upstairs. So these people are just going through the motions. And if you look at sort of diversity and inclusion departments, human resource departments, they don't have anything to fucking do. They're all the amount of people employed now in business and of course government, the amount of people are employed to destroy and bring down and crush and search out this evil that's everywhere and this sort of thing. It's insane. It's not building and constructing and creating. It's just destroying everywhere. And just as again as a side, we're at a colleague and I were at we were subcontracting to another company that was involved in with these guys, and we had some flunky from HR came around, said, we'd like to talk to you. Follow me. And it was very sudden. It was almost an ambush sort of style. Why? Where are we going? What's going on? I never liked that. Was a follow me. I'll tell you later. You'll find out, or that sort of thing. I don't like those ambush meetings. And I've had a few of them. and some of them are pretty sort of planned and choreographed, where they try and catch you unawares and not knock you off balance and then try and extract some sort of something from you. But I mean, when you've been around long enough, you get to see these things. But so why are we following you? Where are we going? You'll see. No, that's not fucking good enough. No, because we're sort of there on behalf of someone else, you kind of got a little bit careful. So I didn't want to be over forceful about it. And my colleague was quite a bit younger than me, and more a tech geek than anything. And so I sort of went along, and then we're summoned into the presence of the diversity and equity and inclusion director, and she fixes her eyes on us two straight white males, and you can see the look on the face, and decides straight away, Nazis, that's it. And probably figured that we may not be overly sympathetic to what she was about to say, but I was more worried about my younger colleague that might blurt out something inadvertently that could be used against us. But anyway, so she says, look, if you see anything going on, like as we're going around, we're not employees, by the way. So if you see anything going on, any disrespecting of transgender people, any transgender jokes or humor that's offensive, or any misogyny, or any, if you see any fascists or Nazis, and if you see that, then I'd like you to bring it to my attention. And so I sort of smiled and nodded and thought, let's get out of here as quickly as we can. And my colleague was about to say something, so I grabbed his arm. No, don't say anything. Shut the fuck up. So that was bad enough. But then the clanger came, and this is how, again, non-meritorious situations work. She then says that if a situation occurs in our presence and someone else sees it or hears it, and we're believed to have seen it or heard it, but have not reported it, then that person who saw us see it would report on us, and that would be like a serious black mark against us. You have to inform on what you see, and if you don't, we'll consider you part of the problem. And I didn't like that at all, and I was ready to do some pushing back, but I thought I'll just smile and nod and just hope that it ends here. Satisfied that she'd finger wagged and told us off and put us Nazis, straight white males, in our place. You can go now. I thought, fuck you. And I didn't say that, but that's how bad it is now. So these people have nothing to do. How would she even know we were in the building? Or we weren't anywhere near where she was. But how would she know we're in the building? What would possess her to even come out with those sort of threats? And admonitions and finger wags and so on. What would even possess you to want to do it? And but she seemed quite pleased. The power, she's getting off on the power she has to destroy and crush and obstruct and inhibit and that sort of thing. And but that's what these people are doing. They're not employed on the basis of merit. And if you look at the amount of people now employed in business, particularly the bigger multinationals, anyone who's protected by government legislation from competition or given lots of government contracts, then you can see how the quotas, the affirmative action and the quotas, race, gender, and so on, and now half or more of the people are in there. But of those people, a huge proportion of them, the jobs have been created, they've been invented, like in the communist Soviet system. They've just been invented jobs where nobody actually does anything or has anything to do. So they sit around, bored as fuck, wanting to make destructive mischief. They're not thinking about constructive things or how to help or anything. They're sitting there contemplating it and getting bored. They're thinking, well, our job is to root out the Nazis, Hitler's everywhere, Nazis, fascists. Let's get them. Let's string them up from the fucking nearest tree. And this is very much a sort of an undertone in their attitude. And when you've got that many people that you don't need and are just sucking and consuming resources, then you've also got a lot of people that are trying to trying to destroy, as I mentioned a moment ago, rather than create or build or assist or be useful or be positive. And they're forever looking for the tiniest morsel of did somebody disrespect the black lesbian in the corner or something, that type of thing. And these people, these are cat's paws. These departments, these diversity departments, are employing black lesbians for the sole purpose of putting them in the middle of white people, hoping that one of the white people says something, anything, it doesn't matter, so they can leap all over and go, aha, racist Nazis, we knew it, there they are. They've been hiding in plain sight, motherfuckers. And this is the and so you can imagine the mentality of these people that sit there engaged in this insane ideological conniving and plotting without producing anything. So we've now come the other side of the merit thing, where fewer and fewer people, whether it be in education, whether it be appointed to senior management, it doesn't matter, in any field of endeavour now, where the majority of people are being appointed by affirmative action and by quotas. Even when white people are being employed in business now, their accomplishments and achievements and qualifications tend not to be looked at. They're vigorously background checked, not to, again, establish or verify the accomplishments, but simply to find something, anything. Was Billy Bob a racist? Do you think he had racist views? Did he say anything was racist? Did he make any racist joke? That's the type of background checking they're doing these days, not the verification of, Billy Bob says that he built the business up from $100 to $200 or something. They're not attempting to verify those things, which would be positive verifications to confirm that the credentials Billy Bob was bringing to the table are indeed so. But they're not doing that. They're desperately trying to find some example of, did he ever mention the word Hitler? Oh! And so this is the level of absurdity we're now. But it's what happens is when you put very mediocre, in fact, less than mediocre people, whether it be in the parliament, whether it be in the education system, in business, or in the quangos, it doesn't matter. But merit is less and less and less the determining factor. Whereas there was a time when merit played a large role in the people that were making the decisions. And that made the Western society very rich, powerful, influential compared to the rest of the world. And we're losing all of that now. And the first world is turning into just a series of piss-poor banana republics. You've been Tacitus today, your Pushback channel, and thank you for listening.